Hey everyone, you listen to Nerd Boys Comic Blog. I'm Marco.
And I'm Andrea.
And today we'll be talking about A Silent Voice, or The Silent Voice.
I think it's A Silent Voice.
A Silent Voice by Kyoto Animation. This is mostly an anime manga thing, so Andrea knows most about this.
Well, I mostly read like the manga in like 3 days. And then it took a while to convince Marco to watch it.
Yeah.
So we barely watched it.
Yeah, I barely watched it right now. I wanted to watch it like when it came to theaters, but then I was like...
Your Name had a bigger, like, important section for you.
Yeah, Your Name was like one of the big movie that basically took over last summer in Japan, and everyone was like kind of rushing it to get here to America. Mm-hmm. And A Silent Voice, no one's really rushing to get it over here.
I rushed towards it, like I told you.
No one's trying to get it to theaters.
Yeah, that's true, but like I knew about that movie and I really wanted to watch it because I remember it was being announced between August or September. I think it was August
of last year. I
think so.
Yeah, because it was totally dwarfed by Your Name.
It might have been August or September, somewhere around August or September 16, 17, something like that. I remember I wanted to watch it, and before I wanted to watch it, I read the whole manga. And I can tell you, it still hits the important parts, but it is completely different. Like the important plot, like the whole misunderstanding and the troubles of being when you're a child to a teenager and all those stuff, it still hits that spot and it will make you feel emotional. I felt even more emotional watching this movie than I did watching Your Name.
Yeah, same here. So you could say it hit a lot of the important themes of the movie, or the movie hit a lot of the important themes of the manga.
It did, but it did cut off a lot. Like, in the manga, you have more into his backstory, like his friends' backstories. Like, we know that our main character is Ishida, and Ishida used to hang out with two other guys, which was Shimada and Hirose. When they used to, like, play around together, they were, like, the best of friends until that situation happened, which we'll talk about more. But we hear more from Shimada and Hirose in the manga, and Takeuchi, which is their teacher. It plays an important part for Ishida's life because he starts realizing like things are still the same, but he should be willing to change.
Yeah.
And there was a whole other plot that was missed completely, but they did take some of the scenes from those important parts in the manga into the movie.
Yeah, it seems like every important part that you were explaining to me from the manga when you were reading the manga was in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I thought it was perfectly fine removing that scene because, honestly, it helped a lot with Ishida's character, but it wouldn't have helped in the movie. Yeah, it would just make the movie even longer.
Yeah, just streamline everything, make just the important adjustments you need for a movie format, which was still a 2-hour-long movie. It was still pretty good. But you have, 80 chapters of the manga to work with?
62.
62 chapters.
Yeah, but I feel like we should explain more about, like, what the movie is and then what it left out.
Okay. Do you want to explain the premise?
Okay, so we have our main characters in A Silent Voice, which is Ishida and, what's her name? Nishimiya, which is known as Cho-chan. So I will be referring to her as Cho-chan, even though they're both known for that name because his name is Shoya and her name is Shoko. But Ishida is our main guy who has had a very perfect life. Like, he's had his two best friends, you know, that trio group that you always have when you're kids. And then he's had those two girls that he's known his life and they play well and everything. These are just regular elementary schools. And then Nishimiya arrives. Cho-chan arrives to their school. Her first introduction was through a notebook because she doesn't have a voice. So this was like the weirdest thing this school has ever seen, or this classroom has ever seen. So at first they were very comfortable, like they were willing, because they're children. Children should, they always have an open mind. But for some reason, something triggered. Ishida started like poking fun of her, treating her badly, pushing her, and then people even started getting irritated with her because she would hold them back. She couldn't catch up. She couldn't understand. Her reading lips was still new to her. So everybody started having problems with her. So a lot of her stuff started going missing, or people would talk badly behind her. And Ishida would actually start poking at her. So much to the one point that he like pushed her into the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly how it escalated. So actually what started escalating the problem was when she started using hearing aids. Nishimiya started using hearing aids and Ishida found out. And they kept taking them out and playing around, tossing them and then throwing them in the trash. So much that she lost so many of them that her mom actually started complaining to the school that she wanted to know what was going on, who was picking on her and who was bullying her. Because I remember in the manga it was like worth $8,000 of how many hearing aids have gone by. And the school was willing to pay for it as long as they announced the bully. Because the last straw was when Ishida pulled out Nishimiya's hearing aid and like ripped it out from her ear, causing damage to it. I don't think it's ever explained that he actually caused inner damage to her ear. Because on one side of her ear, she can't hear anymore. I know from the other side, she's still able to hear at least some noise, but not enough. But I think Ishida completely made her lose her hearing from that side. And that's the straw that mom put in the complaint to the school. Something was happening, so the principal ends up arriving in their classroom, and he wanted to know who was bullying her when all of the whole classroom was bullying her and the teacher never stopped it. But the first one to denounce the character was the teacher. So Takeuchi, which is their teacher, decided to point out at one character, and that was Ishida. Even though the whole classroom, which was Ueno and Kawaii, Shimida and Hirose, they were all picking on her. But for some reason, Ishida seemed to be the most vulnerable character in there. So he put the whole blame on him, even though Ishida tried to defend himself, but Takeuchi was like not having it. He was like, just admit it, just say it. So he had nothing else to do, so he had to admit to it because nobody wanted to defend him, or they would cry, like fake their way out of it. And so his mom ends up finding out, and then she ends up having to take out a loan to help pay for Nishimiya's hearing aid. And trust me, it went badly. Nishimiya's mom kicked Ishida's mom's ass. Like, that was really bad. Like, this manga is like really like, it doesn't hold back against violence, like hitting each other. Like, this is more personal. Like, when you read other mangas like that have magic in it or comics or anything like that, it's like, oh, this is so cool. But this hits you in a spot like, holy wow, this is a situation that can happen for reals. Like, a mom attacking another mom for not being able to like take responsibility over their child. It's just, it gets you all feely, like your body just clenches and can't understand it. But after that, there's a lot of flipping back and forth from like Ishida's present to his past, which when he was a kid to now him being in high school.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in high school right now. He's in a different high school. I think he's still in the same high school with Kawaii. But the rest of his classmates ended up going to different schools, including Nishimiya. She left after the whole incident of finding out who was bullying her. She was completely removed from the school, and Ishida started actually getting bullied after that. They were like writing stuff on his desk, treating him poorly. They even threw him and his stuff into the river, and he would just play it off or anything like that. And anywhere he would go, like even when he made it to middle school, his friend Shimada and Hirose would tell other people not to get close to him, like saying it's like, oh, did you know he used to be a bully and bullied somebody to the point that they never came back to school. Yeah. But now we move into the future, or present more like it, which is Ishida in high school. He's looking different, very different, because when you see him in his younger years in elementary school, he was a happy, goofy kid. And now, like, when you get introduced to Ishida being a teenager in high school, he looks so awkward. Like, he's just, like, can't look at anybody in the eye, like, holds himself in a slouching position. Like, he looks goofy, like socially awkward, like he doesn't want to interact with anybody. And then we find out why. Like, besides the whole impact in his life, like that whole situation of Nishimiya like leaving and everybody starting to bully him and everything, we find out that he's actually been like saving up all this money to pay off the loan that his mom owed to Nishimiya's mom. So what he ended up doing was taking out part-time jobs and selling his stuff. And on that day he gave his mom all his money, he was ready to commit suicide. I don't know about anybody, but like that was really like strong for me. Like having that introduction with him ready to commit suicide, I was like, whoa, this is barely the beginning of the manga. What is going on?
Yeah, and the movie starts off like that.
Yeah,
too.
and the movie, like, it starts off with that impact. It's like, whoa, that is like direct to the point, hitting on the spot. Like, they're telling you exactly what Ishida is, like where he's at in his life. And this one, it's more like it's progressing to that point, and it's brutal. Like, you kind of understand why he feels that way in that situation, but at the same time you're like, don't do it, like it's not worth it, you can fix it. But I think like a few days later he ends up going to one of the classes because he was studying sign language. He ends up going to one of the classes, or actually looking for Nishimiya Shochan, and he ends up finding her, and it is like crazy and awkward. Like, she runs away. She's like, oh no, what do I do? And he's like trying to talk to her, and she realizes that he is talking to her in sign language, and she's like, what is going on? Like, she starts like talking really fast with her hands, asking him like, how do you learn and everything. And they have a conversation, not a huge conversation, well, really awkward, because Ishida is awkward at this point, and their whole backstory is just really weird. But he ends up asking her, is like, do you want to be friends?
And he realizes that that's what she was trying to do the whole time.
Yeah.
He realizes that the sign language for friends is what she was giving him, and he's like, oh crap, you want to be friends this whole time.
Yeah.
And I was being a dick to you.
Yeah. And from there on, I guess he kind of changes his perspective a little bit. Like, he thinks, is like, maybe I shouldn't die quite just yet. I should make amends. But he already had left his money to his mom, and his mom like got a little weird feeling about it. So she was like, did you have plans? Did you want to die? He's like, yeah. He's like, you're not gonna die, right? He's like, no. It's like, tell me, be for real. It's like, she holds up the money and was like ready to burn it. She's like, tell me you're not gonna commit suicide. He's like, I was in a bad spot, I'm very sorry. But she ends up like burning the whole money away. And yeah, he decides to like help out again with like building up the money for the loan. And we also meet Yuzuru, which Yuzuru pretends to be Nishimiya's boyfriend.
Yeah. I actually believe that was her boyfriend for a while.
Yeah. It would have been interesting because I was like, oh, this could give like... I know a lot of people, when they want to see these movies, they're like, oh, they're going to end up together at the end. But I like that like little slight possibility of like interference.
Oh yeah,
of there not being a possible chance of having a relationship.
The will they, won't they?
Yeah. And when Yuzuru appeared, I was like, yes, no relationship between Ishida and Nishimiya. That'd be perfect. Because I like movies with like nice flowing relationships, like, oh, they don't like each other, but at the end they end up liking each other and they stay together. But this one was like, this is a really like such an awkward situation. Like, how can you get together when you like bullied each other and hit each other and everything like that? It's like you basically both ruined each other's life. Not saying that they did it purposely or intentionally or anything like that. I'm just saying situations happen where they both became bullied at one situation.
They had a big impact on each other.
Yeah.
It made sense that they would be friends, but I kind of wanted them to be more than friends. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, so we end up having Yuzuru, who we actually later find out is not her boyfriend, but her younger sister, who dresses like a boy. So she does very well. Yuzuru really knows about Ishida. Like, she doesn't like Ishida at all. at first. Like, she was doing anything as possible to get in the way of both of them. She's like, I don't like you, I know who you are, you bullying my sister, go away, screw off. But I guess Ishida at this point was like, he really wanted to make amends. Like, he really wanted to fix this. Like, if he doesn't commit suicide now, there must be a reason. Like, he needs to put his energy into something that he ruined in the past. But during this time, we see that Ishida has this weird thing where he disconnects from people by putting an X over their faces. Like, that just means they're not important to his life, and he doesn't have to bother knowing them, hearing them, or knowing that they exist. Like, their life does not matter to him. As long as you have an X in your face, you're not important. And I find that cool. You're not an important character in my story. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool visual representation of what he was going through.
Yeah. And then we end up seeing that there's this kid in his class. Still has an X over his face, though. We can hear his voice in the background of like certain moments, certain situations. And Ishida ends up stepping in for him. Like, there was a situation where somebody wanted to take his bike without his permission. Well, he was like, no, this is my bike, I can't lend it to you, I need it. But Ishida was like, you know, this is a really weird situation, and I'm already putting myself out there by like trying to help Nishimiya, might as well help somebody else out. But I feel like that he wasn't thinking that through. He was just like acting on instinct, like he needed to do something, but very awkwardly. He's like, do you just want to take my bike? Go for it. So he ends up helping out his friend, which is Nagatsuka. I believe it's Nagatsuka. At this point, he isn't his friend. He's just like thankful that person didn't take his bike and instead took Ishida's. But Ishida later finds out that this person never returned his bike. So he has to walk all the way home. And at this point, he's also trying to meet up with Nishimiya. Because he's like, oh, apparently she has a hangout spot where she feeds the fish.
Yeah, it's the fish.
She always ends up like feeding the fish on a Tuesday at this one area. So you went to go by Brian and was like, hey, can I see Nishimiya? He asked Yuzuru. And Yuzuru was like, no, back off. She's not here. He's like, oh, okay, I understand. So he ends up feeding the fish by himself. And at this point, he tries to go back home. When he's going back home, he notices somebody else with his bike. And it's that one guy that he ended up helping out, which is Nagatsuka. And Nagatsuka ends up like still having that X on his face. And at this point, it falls off.
Yeah, it peels off like a sticker.
Yeah, it's so cool. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, knowing that this person is like somebody you're willing to talk to. I guess later on, they just slowly start having conversations where Nagatsuka ends up saying, we are friends. We end up finding a lot more about this character in the manga. You see a little bit of it in the movie where he's such a like a movie junkie. But in the manga, he has more of it. Like, he is a movie junkie, but he also likes filming. Like, that's his thing. In the manga, he ends up helping out more with Ishida's problem. In the manga, they're trying to create a movie with all the friends. And it's something that will help relieve Ishida's situation with him still not able to process the bullying and the fact that he was a bully and the suicide tendencies in him. Even though somebody doesn't go through committing suicide, it's still a thought in their head. And that's exactly what Ishida's going through in the manga. That's more presentable in the manga than it is in the movie. Like, we noticed that in the movie, it doesn't come back up a lot. He just thinks about it once in a while, but it's not something that's brought up constantly. It's just shown that he has anxiety issues. But in the manga, it shows that he has huge suicidal tendencies and anxiety and everything. So it's better for him to process situations and people when they have an X over them. Then he can just easily avoid the anxiety. Yeah, Nagatsuka really does help in the manga with Ishida's problem with suicide and anxiety and everything like that. But Nagatsuka really helps in the movie with finding more friends from his past.
Yeah, and also getting back with Cho-chan?
Cho-chan.
Cho-chan.
Nishimiya. So since Ishida's really socially awkward and Nagatsuka's really a go-getter, he's like really vibrant, really filled with energy, he can easily communicate between Nishimiya and Ishida. So, like, at certain points where Ishida doesn't know how to ask things or communication problem, there's, like, miscommunication going on, Nagatsuka doesn't have a problem, like, jumping in. And this is where we start getting into, like, the other serious part where Ishida ends up asking Nishimiya who else she wants to see from her past. And her first name that comes up is Sara. In the manga, we meet Sara in the very beginning. She's a girl that was really willing to learn sign language and be the helping assistant for Nishimiya when they were in elementary school. But when Ueno, Kawaii, Shimida, Hirose, and Ishida all found out, they started picking on her, especially Ueno. Ueno starts bullying her to the point where she left. She ended up moving to a different school. So everybody started blaming Nishimiya for it, saying it's like, she left because of you. It's all your fault. But Nishimiya really wanted to see her again. I don't know if it was like why, like a question like why she left or what was going on or anything. She just wanted to see her. So Ishida was like, okay, I will make this happen. I will find out. He ended up asking Kawaii, which was the girl that was still in his school, that they used to be in elementary school together. And she ended up telling him that she knows which school she goes to. Nishimiya and Ishida went together to the school, and they ended up actually bumping into her at the train station. And they end up talking and being friends like nothing ever happened. And I think that's Ishida's problem, like how these people are able to move on like nothing ever happened. Like he has such a strong memory of everything. I don't know if it's because of guilt or something else, but Ishida's just that kind of character where he can't seem to be able to move on just like the rest of the characters. But Sara and Nishimiya end up changing numbers and becoming friends again and everything. And at this point in the movie, we find that Ueno comes in contact with Ishida. She's passing around flyers for her cat cafe that her parents own. And Ishida instantly recognized her. And he was like, maybe Nishimiya would like to meet her again. Yep. Nope. This is where everything takes like a dark turn. Ueno is like by far like the craziest character I've ever seen. Like the most hormonally disturbed teenager.
Yeah. She's the homewrecker, I guess.
Oh my goodness, she's just crazy. She gets on his bike at a random point and like starts having a conversation with him like nothing ever happened, like everything's still cool, even though like it was her fault that he started getting bullied because she never defended him in elementary school. But you can tell she holds that regret, like never defending him, because she obviously looks like she has a major crush on him. But he's different now. He's not that quirky, like upbeat kid. He's this socially awkward, filled with anxiety kind of guy. And at this point, like Ueno sees Nishimiya from across the street, and she's like, there she is, let's bully her again. And he's like, oh no, get off, go away. And I don't know, from then on, like things just start getting worse because she's just like, I don't like her, I hate everything, blah blah blah. She has such an attitude about everything, but she never got to know Nishimiya, but she always blames Nishimiya for never getting to know her and her wants, her needs. It's always about her, and she blames Nishimiya for ruining their childhood, which is completely awful. But yeah, from here on, like we progress into having like Kawaii-san, Ueno, and Ishida, Nagatsuka, and I said Nishimiya, right, and everything. Like they all ending up to hang out. Oh, and Mashiba. Mashiba is also a friend a guy that obviously likes Kawaii. Kawaii used to be like their
class rep.
The class rep. She's obviously like this class rep representation. Like she's like the perfect girl, so smart, wears glasses, wears ponytails. She acts all cute and bubbly, so people will like her. But inside of her, like there's this major attitude of manipulation. She will like twist her words. She will not defend you, but she will not attack you in a way that is obvious. But she will attack you with words. Like she'll never be physical about it, but she's a two-face. Very, like, in the manga, you can obviously tell she's a two-face. But Mashiba, who obviously likes her, like, doesn't see this, doesn't know her from her elementary school. But she, like, at one point almost made Mashiba not like Ishida. She's like, you don't know how Ishida used to be. You know he bullied Sho-chan to the point of, like, she left the school. And in the manga, we see that Mashiba doesn't really like bullies because when he used to be in elementary school, he used to get bullied a lot. and he wanted to stand up against that. But yeah, we have this group actually all going to like this kind of like funland entertainment kind of thing.
Amusement park.
And at first it looks like they're all having fun until like Ueno takes Ishida somewhere, and he ends up finding out that the place that she went to, well, that they both went to, Shimada's working there, which is one of his best friends from when they were elementary school, who actually became his bully later on after Nishimiya left. And shit just gets awkward from there. And then Ueno takes Nishimiya into the Ferris wheel, and it's just a whole bunch of babbling teenagers, like babble nonsense kind of thing. And I don't know, do you remember what happens after that?
Yeah, so what's her name?
Nishimiya Cho-chan?
Nishimiya. She gets slapped by Ueno.
Because Nishimiya apologizes all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know what Ueno wants. Yeah, but the only reason we find out is because Yuzuru was hanging out with them, and Yuzuru has this camera always with her, and she left it on recording when Nishimiya went into the Ferris wheel. And we find out later on that Nishimiya doesn't like herself. We found out through that recording from Yuzuru. It's only Yuzuru and Ishida sitting together, like looking at the video, and she says that she doesn't like herself.
Are we going to mention the photographs of dead animals?
Oh, yeah. So we find out, okay, Yuzuru really has this thing where she feels the need to take pictures of dead things. So she'll take pictures of carcasses or like just dead bugs or stuff like that. And we later find out why. So during the movie, we always see as elementary Nishimiya. Like when she was like in elementary, we always see the sign of her like twisting her arms under her neck. Like she does a back and forth like twisting under her neck. But we don't know this because we don't know sign language. But we see it a couple of times, at least maybe 3 times. There's this scene from Yuzuru's perspective. You can see a young version of Nishimiya with her short hair, crying, dirt all over her face, and her hands twisting together underneath her chin. But we don't know what this means until later on. So Yuzuru ends up explaining to us that twisting her hands together under her neck means that she wanted to die. So Yuzuru wanted to fix that. So she would take pictures of dead things. She's like, maybe if I can show her what death really looks like, she will get over the fact that she wants to die. And Ishida wanted to help that. But Ishida didn't know that she wanted to die. She just thought she didn't like herself. And he wanted to help with that. And Yuzuru thought that Ishida was helping. And it was, but there was a situation that happened at this point. Yuzuru and Cho-chan and their mom all live together with their grandma. Grandma is a really nice lady. Like, she does everything for her family. In the manga, it shows that Cho-chan and Yuzuru's mom is left by her husband. Her husband leaves her because his family believes that if they ever have kids again, that they will come back defected. And they can't have that under their name. That will ruin their reputation. That she is defected. That she cannot have normal children. So he leaves her. Well, actually, she chooses to divorce him. She's like, I'm not defected. You cannot accept our child together. That's wrong. She is mine then. So he ends up leaving her and she stays by herself. She doesn't know what to do. Her mother was supposed to stay like at a home, but she ended up moving in with them so she can help Yuzuru and Cho-chan have a childhood while their mother goes to work. So she's really close to the girls. She knows exactly who they are, how they work, what they want to do. She was really close to them. She taught them how to cook, clean, make things, because they're both very crafty girls. And at this point, we see like, there's this moment where we see Yuzuru and her grandma like interacting and being playful and nice. And then we get a shot of them sleeping, and Yuzuru wakes up. She cuddles up closer to her grandma, who's just laying down smiling. And then the next day, we find out that her grandmother had passed away. And the weirdest thing that didn't show up in the in the movie, which I thought was a heart-wrenching moment, was Yuzuru took a picture of their grandma when she was asleep or dead in her sleep. And it was a weird moment, like it's a final moment. Like, this is what death looks like. It can look like this. And I guess that picture was never shown because it would have represented like a different side of death. Like Yuzuru always shows pictures of like things that died before they should have. And then if you show the picture of Nishimiya's grandmother, she looked peaceful in her sleep. She just passed away peacefully. If you were to have shown that to Nishimiya, she would just accepted death at that point. But I guess in the manga, it did end up happening something like that. But in the movie, it didn't happen like that. They ignored that piece. And we end up going into the funeral and everything. And we can see Nishimiya just slowly having less interaction with her friends. Like, she's talking and smiling slightly weird, but never like a full-on smile. And then there's this... they're in summer break. I remember they're in summer break and Ishida was like, I want her to have like an awesome break because at this point, I think everybody ends up getting into a fight. Like, Kawaii ends up attacking Ishida and telling everybody that he used to be a bully, and Ishida has a panic attack, and Mashiba doesn't know how to doesn't understand what he should do because he's an outsider. He doesn't know how to deal with bullies. Ueno makes things worse because they find out like about her like treating Nishimiya poorly. And then there's this whole giant disaster, and Sada, we see Sada too trying to defend, but Ishida and Ueno attack her, like saying, like with words saying like, oh, you're just gonna be a coward and run away as always. And Sada doesn't know how to handle it, so she leaves. And then we see Mashiba and Kawaii leave, and then Ueno leave, and it's just Nishimiya, Yuzuru, and Ishida sitting together at this point. So he's like, I have to make it better. I have to make her have a great summer. So he takes her everywhere. He's like, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. He took her to a museum. He took her out of the city. And then he invites her to a festival. Her mom, her sister, and him. Before the festival, wasn't there a birthday? Or was that after? There was a birthday, their mom's birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's how mom actually starts being okay with Ishida being around them. Because at first, she slapped him at one point, like, get away from my daughters. And at this point, he's like inside her house and he's like, oh no, I shouldn't be here. Should I leave? Oh my god, I don't want to get slapped again. And Nishimiya and Yuzuru are like, oh, you're gonna be okay. And they bake a cake for her birthday, and it's a beautiful cake and everything. And mom arrives and she's like, what is he doing in my house? And then Yuzuru was like, just come down, sit down, it's your birthday, just sit. Everything just felt like at that point that they all just relaxed with each other. And that, I guess from there on, it's how they progress to going to a festival together. And when they go to the festival, everything seems all nice and bubbly, and like there's fireworks and there's food. Then we see Yuzuru and Nishimiya's mom leaving together to go get food. And then Nishimiya says, oh, I have to leave. I have homework and stuff like that. He's like, oh, are you sure? Don't you want to stay a little longer? She's like, no, it's okay, I'll be fine. He's like, okay, see you later. And she leaves. And then Yuzuru comes back and he's like, oh, what? She's gone already? Go get my camera. I forgot it, and I really want to take pictures of the food and whatever, everything from the festival. He's like, why me? But okay. So he ends up going, and he enters the house. And at this point, he's like talking out loud. I guess he sometimes forgets that Nishimiya can't hear him at all times. And he sees there's a door flung open and the curtains are like rushing in and out, and you can see fireworks again. He's like, oh, the fireworks are back on and everything. And then he looks out the window and he can see Nishimiya like just standing out there. And then he sees her like starting to climb up on the patio, and he's like, oh no, oh no. And he starts like panicking, and he like sees her like just standing there, and he like rushes his way to her, hits things on the way, and then like stumbles and stuff. And at this point you can see her like the flash of a curtain, like when you can see somebody standing and then the flash of the curtain passes and then it sweeps away and then gone. He like runs, like you can see him run like towards it. At this point you think she's already gone, like he didn't get her. But the next scene, it shows him like holding on to her like by one arm, like, you can't die. And he's trying to pull her up, and it's crazy because I guess nobody expected that. You can understand it from Ishida, but you completely ignore the fact that Nishimiya went through the same thing. So you never thought, like, since Ishida's our main character, you never bothered to pay attention to Nishimiya because you thought that she was going in the right direction already, like that she was holding herself together. But this whole time she wanted to die as well, wanted him to have a better life. That was one of the other things that she mentioned, that she was bringing him down, like he deserved better. That's crazy, teenager crazy. And he's like trying to pull her up and everything, and at this point I guess Nishimiya like grabs onto like a certain area of the patio, the balcony, and like starts climbing back up, and he's like trying to yank her up at the same time, and while he yanks her up, he accidentally like pushes himself over, and he's the one that ends up falling over and into, I guess, like a small canal that passes through the apartments. So we find out that Ishida's in the hospital. We can see Yuzuru and Ishida's mom like walk in, and Yuzuru's like, I'm sorry this happened and everything. He's like, oh no, it's fine. It's probably Ishida, he probably did something to Nishimiya, and this is what happened. And then you can see Nishimiya's mom like walk in and like bow her head down like to the floor, like she kneels on the ground and puts her head down. He's like, no, my daughter is stupid, I'm so sorry, like she tried to commit suicide and I'm very sorry for this to happen. And Yuzuru does the same. She like kneels her head down, and it's just a very, I don't know, crazy moment.
And then the slapping starts.
Oh, fuck Ueno. You see like Ueno like throw Nishimiya against the fence, and Nishimiya at this point I guess looks like she has like a dislocated arm, because her arm is like in a...
Yeah, it's in a sling.
Sling, that's what it's called. You see Nishimiya, her arm is in a sling. She has like some other stuff going on, and Ueno's beating the shit out of her. In the manga, it was so much brutal. In the manga, you can see like Ueno, she's yelling at Nishimiya's mom at this point with like Nishimiya's head in her hand, like her hair is like gripped in her hand, like yelling. And I'm like, holy crap! Like, it's a good thing they didn't show it that brutally though in the movie. It would have just been crazy. But yeah, you see Ueno attacking Nishimiya, and she's just saying, I'm sorry, and Ueno's not taking it. And then at this point, Nishimiya's mom walks in and was like, get away from my daughter, you crazy girl. And then Nishimiya's mom and Ueno start hitting each other. And then comes in Ishida's mom, like separates them both, like, no, stop it. This is my situation. Y'all can't be petty about this. So she ends up walking towards Cho-chan. Nishimiya just crawls to her and like crying, saying I'm sorry in her own voice, like, which is weird because we don't hear her voice that often. And she's just saying I'm sorry and I'm sorry in her broken way of saying I'm sorry. And I mean, Ishida's mom at this point was like, you can never do this again. Like, you owe this much to Ishida. Like, don't, like, just work yourself up. And we end up having to go through a lot of situations with Ueno not letting anybody in, and everybody's just like crazy all over the place. But Nishimiya is trying to like get everybody back together and hang out and support Ishida when he comes back. And she's like having like breakdown moments, and at one point she like wakes up in her sleep, like just she needs to like fix things. But she's like, you know, when you wake up in that rush, like you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with myself. And then she like runs and like ends up at that bridge where they meet every Tuesday, and she just starts bawling, and then wakes up Ishida from his coma, sorta, and he ends up like freaking out. He's like, what am I doing in the hospital? And then ends up rushing out too, yelling out Nishimiya, and he ends up at the bridge too. Ended up having a conversation about helping each other out through their situation and being friends again. And I guess from there on, like, I guess their life starts progressing into like a better direction. Ishida actually apologizes correctly, like, for the situation he had caused in the past. And he told Nishimiya how he wanted to go back to like school with all of them because he knows that the school festival was gonna start soon. He's like, can we enjoy the school festival all together as friends? So Ishida asks Nishimiya, after being released from the hospital, if they can all go together to the school festival, because his school was having a festival soon, and he wanted to go with all his friends. And she agreed. She's like, went towards their friends and convinced them and everything. And at school, he was just like freaking out because he's still socially awkward when he got back, and it was just like a mess. He's not dealing with it too well. But his friend Nagatsuka, the movie enthusiast, was there to help him out. He was just like, yeah, we missed you. We're sorry for all the things that have passed by and everything, but we realized that with this situation, we can't have you out of our lives. And we still, at this point, we're still seeing a lot of X's on people's faces, even Ueno. Because he's at this point where he's like, I reject you. You've been bad in my life. Before he actually went into the coma, he said something about like, oh God, please, if I survive this, like, I will treat everybody correctly. I will hear everybody's voice. I will see everything from a different perspective. And so when he meets up with the group and everything, and like he's like, I really want to enjoy the festival. You see like their faces not have X's, but everybody else in the background still does. And when they're walking out, you have this moment of him, like, you can hear like different voices at different moments. Like you can start taking in all those voices, and then suddenly there's like this sudden realization of like everything is like coming into one, and all the X's start removing like stickers and just fall on the floor, and you just see Ishida like center focus and just cry, like he's overwhelmed with emotion, and he's just crying. Like it's like a 2-minute scene of him just crying and realizing this is life now for him. And end of movie.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie, pretty heartwarming, heartbreaking, and it had you. There were a lot of moments in the movie where I felt like, especially the part on the balcony, I felt like your heart goes racing and pounding because you've grown attached to these characters that you've only gotten to know for like 2 hours. I only got to know them for 2 hours. You've got to know them over 62 chapters.
Yeah. Which is like, that's something else I wanted to touch on. Like, the ending for this movie was different from the manga. In the manga, everybody like starts going into different directions. Like, even though they like became one with that movie, even though it flopped, their movie flopped in their what was it? Like the festival that they put their movie in, I guess. I think it flopped. I can't remember correctly. I think it might have. And they were okay with it. Like, at first they didn't deal with it very well, and then they were okay with it. But you can see them all look into their life. Like, where do I want to go from here now? And you see Ueno is already in fashion, so she starts heading into fashion. You find out more about Shimida and Hirose. Like, I can't remember exactly what was going on with them, but I know they had a bigger plot in the manga. You see Kawaii stay for Mashiba, which is the other guy, the new character too, because it obviously looks like they're going to become a relationship. Nagatsuka, of course, wants to study film and stuff like that. But then we have Nishimiya and Ishida, who have both been the two suicidal characters with like craziness in their lives, actually are looking forward to their future. Nishimiya wants to study hairdressing, and that is like a crazy thing because Ishida's mom is a hairdresser, and it's just like, she's like, that moment that I met your mom was like a changing moment, because the first time we meet Ishida's mom is because Nishimiya's mom brings her in. He's like, I want her to have a boy haircut. Like, I want you to remove all her hair, because if she looks like a boy, nobody's going to bully her. And Ishida's mom was like, I'd rather ask her what she wants. She's like, what do you want, sweetheart? And she's like, I think she points at a picture of what length she wants her hair. And she's like, oh, that looks really cute on you. She's like, don't ask her what she wants. I want you to remove all her hair. Make her look like a boy so she won't get bullied. But like, Ishida's mom doesn't end up doing what she wants. She ends up cutting the length, like that little weird short bob cut hair for Nishimiya. And Nishimiya's mom throws a hissy fit and is like, I'm not paying for you, like, cutting her hair that length. Like, I wanted you to remove all her hair. So she left. But apparently that was such a changing moment for Nishimiya. Like, realizing that she could actually have a choice in what she wants. Like, that's what she wants to do. Like, study how to be a hairdresser. Like, to interact with other people and help them in their situation kind of thing. And then we see Ishida actually take that on too. He wants to become a hairdresser because he wants to support his mom's business. He's like, don't be creeped out. Nishimiya is like, it's not because of your life choices. Like, this is because my life choices. But it's interesting that they both like just are like the same but different in a sort of way. Like, they've been going through the same things and are choosing the same directions, and it's pretty. But at this point, Nishimiya is actually going to study in Tokyo. She's leaving. And I remember in the manga when she's leaving, Nagatsuka's like, don't you want to tell her something you've been always wanting to tell her? And Ishida goes, oh yeah, like you would think it's like a confession, like I love you, right, kind of thing. But he's like, what were those gifts that you bought me? What are they for? Do you remember in the movie there was those 3 bunnies?
Yeah.
He actually asked her, he's like, what are those for? She's like, as the car drives away, she ends up texting him and was like, oh, they're for this, and you can see the little bunnies in a plant.
Oh.
But oh yeah, that was the scene that we completely skipped over. There was a moment where actually Nishimiya was so happy to the point that she confessed to Ishida, saying, I like you. Which apparently, when you say I like you in Japan, what does it sound like? It's daisuki?
Yes.
But tsuki is with the Tsuki. Tsuki, it means moon. So since Nishimiya tried to use her voice to say I love you, which daisuki, ended up coming out at tsuki, which means crescent moon. So there's a huge miscommunication there, and Ishida goes, tsuki? Like the moon? Yeah, it looks pretty. And she's like, no, and runs away embarrassed. Yeah, and the only other person that knows that she confessed was Yuzuru. Because at this moment, she was like at her best. She was like giggling, laughing, being happy, interacting. But I think the spiraling craziness of like suicide thoughts was after her grandmother passed away. But yeah, in the manga, you can see them all take different life choices. And then you see them at their graduation ceremony. And all you see is them opening the door, and that's it. That's the end. Like, there's no... It's exactly like the movie. It's like, you see them, like, develop their life into a good direction. But you don't see them have their ending.
Yeah, I kind of like that kind of ending.
It was cool. Yeah. But it's still sad. I mean, in the movie, you felt more heart, like, wrenched, I guess. How do you say that? Like...
Heart-wrenching.
Yeah, you feel like your heart like just drop at all times. Like in the manga, like it gives you like, it's like a roller coaster of like, oh, things are okay, things are not okay, things are okay, things are not okay. Ishida, just don't die. Ishimiya, control yourself. But yeah, that is a very intense movie.
Yeah.
I liked it.
How'd you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
What did I rate your name? What did I rate that one?
Okay, just better or worse than your name?
I like your name's animation, that's the thing, but I also liked a silent voice animation. I'm gonna go with 8.5 out of 10.
Solid score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. The animation was really good. Like, I liked how they did a lot of their lighting. Like, it made you feel like you were actually watching like a... What do you call it? I don't know, like a live action movie in a sort of kind of way. Like the way they were so human. Like, you can connect with them. Yeah. And it was like, it's the closest I've ever seen to like such a mature topic with a bunch of teenagers. Like, the teenagers were like teenagers. Like, they were all over the place. Hormonally, mentally, physically. They were just teenagers.
Yeah.
But they were touching on a very serious topic about, like, depression, suicide, anxiety, bullies. It was just intense. It was nice. There was no magic involved.
It's a good flick. It's a good watch. Would you recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah? Well... I think that's going to be it for this one.
I feel like I talked the whole time.
You did, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. You basically shared all your thoughts, and I was like, it was good. It was really good. Thank you for making me watch it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but all around a good movie.
Yep.
Yeah. I
definitely recommend the manga too. If you want to watch the movie, you should watch the movie, but you can do it either way. Like, I'll give you a different perspective into each character's personality and backstory. It'll be more into each character. So if you want to watch the movie first, that's good choice. If you want to get to know the characters a little bit more, read the manga. There's a little bit of everything in there.
All right. Should we wrap this up now?
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been Nerd Boy's Comic Blog. I'm Marco.
And I'm Andrea.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Peace.